here. So, okay. So my name's Diane Stefani, and along with Adam Flint, I chair the Environmental Management Council. So why don't I pass it to Christine?
Hi, I'm Christine. I am a voting member and also the communications coordinator.
Great.
Should I pass it to Jillian?
Great.
Hi everyone, sorry, I was just looking for that thing. I'm Jillian Sloan. I am not a voting member, but I am the coordinator for the EMC, and I work for Broome County Planning Department. And I'll pass it over to Nada.
Hi, I'm Nada. Jackie knows me, but for those who don't, I'm a librarian at Binghamton University. I'm the assistant head of sustainability and STEM engagement. I'm pretty sure I'm a voting member here.
You are.
Okay.
Who do you want to pass it to?
Oh, right. Sorry. Jason?
Well, thank you, Nada. I'm Jason Shaw, I'm the Broome County legislator from Endwell. I'm a legislative member. I don't vote, but I'm here to observe. I wanted to also pass along that Susie Ryan, who's the other legislative rep, would like to be here, but she's attending a wake and she might not make it tonight. So thank you, and I will pass it over to Jessica.
I'm Jessica. I'm a new voting member on the EMC, and I work at the Ross Park Zoo as a sustainability and conservation education manager.
Who do you want to pass?
Oh, and I'll pass it to Josh.
Hi, Josh Enderly, recycling and composting educator at Cornell Cooperative Extension of Broome County. Voting member, I guess. So pass it to George.
And yes, according to the list sent around, I'm also a voting member, a new one, along with Jessica. And my name is George Holmesy, and I'm a professor at Binghamton University. I'm the director of environmental studies, and I was the director of sustainable communities.
Great.
And I will pass, I came in late, so I'm not sure. I will pick someone on the bottom, Eve, on the bottom of my screen. Have you gone yet?
I have not.
Okay.
I'm Eve, one of the Energy Corps interns at Nest, and I'm a junior at Binghamton University. And I'll pass it over to Robert.
Hi, I'm Robert Lofthouse. I'm chair of the Engineering Science and Physics Department at SUNY Broome.
Great. Who do you want to pass to, Bob?
Oh, Deb?
Great.
Hi, I'm Deb Smith. I'm the director for Broome County Solid Waste, and I'm just here as an observer. And I'll pass it off to Bill.
I'm Bill Heaviside, member at large, currently having technical difficulties.
Oh, sorry. All right. How about if I pass it for you, Bill? How about Justin?
Hey folks, it's Justin Puglisi, Broome County Soil and Water. This is maybe my third meeting. And I came in a little late, so I'm not sure who's already introduced themselves.
I think Karina hasn't gone yet.
Hi, I'm Karina. I'm a high school representative, and I'm a junior at Vestal High School.
All right. And Chris, have you actually introduced yourself yet? Maybe not.
Yeah, no, I'm Chris Berger, longtime EMC member, voting at large, and I'm also chair of the Zero Waste Committee of the EMC.
Great. And how about Dylan?
Hopefully you can see me. Can you hear me? All right.
Hi.
I'm Dylan. I've been a member for a long time, and I work at the university as the steward of natural areas. I take care of the nature preserve.
I was over there the other day, Dylan. It's wonderful. The trails are great. I hadn't been there before.
Bit
And
wet.
Adam, I think you're last.
Possibly.
Okay. Oh, Adam, are you there?
It doesn't look like he has audio. George, did you go?
He did, but I realized
Oh, okay.
Jackie hasn't gone yet.
Oh, okay.
Sure, I'll go now. Hi, I'm Jackie. I'm also an undergrad. I'm a junior at Binghamton University. I'm observing, presenting.
All right. Okay, anybody who hasn't introduced themselves? I think we got everybody. All right, I'm just gonna share real quickly here and hopefully I've got it pulled right up here. If you can see my screen, Deb hopefully is going to talk a little bit about extended producer responsibility for us, as well as I think Chris will probably chime in. And then we will review the resolution that we've got on EPR and hopefully vote on it. After that, Bob Lofthouse, like you saw, is here with us, and he's going to talk to us about Earth Fest. We're getting excited about Earth Fest, and hopefully it'll be in person this year. So that'll be exciting. And then Christine's going to talk to us a little bit about a team survey. We are really trying to think ahead about our upcoming events that we've got, the riverbank cleanup. We want to do a good showing at Earth Fest. We want to talk in future, not today, but in future, a little bit more about the art show. So she'll fill you in on kind of what we're thinking around the teams and trying to get some of your input. And then Jackie's here with us, and Nada referred us to Jackie, and Jackie's got a presentation she's going to give to us, which I think is about kind of the intersection between sustainability and equity and some resources that are available to us. And with that, we'll close out and we'll be finished by 6. So I'm going to turn it from there over to Deb.
All right, good evening. So I was just going to take a few minutes to talk about extended producer responsibility. So this is something you may be hearing more about, especially over the past couple of years. When you look at extended producer responsibility, it kind of reverts back to holding manufacturers responsible for the products they're producing and the materials they're utilizing. This in particular is getting a lot of attention because it was recently proposed in the governor's budget, was for packaging of paper packaging for extended producer responsibility. So that has a huge potential to have a positive impact on our recycling programs here in Broome County. So currently right now, producers, they don't really have skin in the game. So they're not really designing products, making them easily recyclable. They're not incorporating recycled content into materials or wondering or worrying rather about how they're going to be managed at end of life. So this particular EPR that's being put forth through the budget would really be an opportunity for recycling programs to no longer shelter the burden of the expense that goes along with it. Over the past few years, recycling programs have been really hit with a high cost. So a few years ago, it used to be recycling facilities would pay for your materials, and the municipalities had an opportunity to earn revenue. When markets shifted, so did everything else. Right now, most places are paying $75 per ton for their materials to be recycled. To put that in comparison, the current tip fee at the landfill is $55 per ton. So recycling right now is actually costing more than to bring material to dispose of at the landfill. With EPR, it kind of takes that burden off of the municipalities. So the producers themselves will be responsible for that cost for the materials that they're putting out there at end of life. So this has a huge positive effect on our local municipalities, and they can choose how they participate in the program. So a municipality can, if they want to continue collecting recycling directly themselves, they would be able to do so. If they want a producer to be responsible for it within the municipality, that would be an option. So this is particularly EPR has a huge impact potentially on our county-wide program. One of the other things with EPR is it affects the municipalities, but it also affects your taxpayers. So any of the municipalities that have recycling collection built into their taxes, that again would be a direct impact on the residents as well, as that would then be handled through the producers. As we go forward too, one of the big things about this program is it helps kind of provide additional educational outreach. So right now, the county handles most of the educational outreach for the recycling program. Municipalities often don't have the funds to do so. With this EPR, some of these producers, they would be responsible for providing that. So they would help subsidize the educational outreach. With this though, it kind of uniforms our program. So right now you could go look at our program here in Broome County and go over to Tioga County or any of these surrounding counties, and they have a completely different looking recycling program. So statewide EPR would also allow us to have all the same materials going into that program. So it would help make uniform education. It would take a lot more of the guesswork out for residents and individuals when they travel from one location to the next. So that is a huge thing. Also, it would also fold nicely under Department of Environmental Conservation right now has right to know recycle right rather. And that's a program they've been rolling out to try and help uniform that. So all of this combined with this EPR that's being proposed would definitely help make it easier to educate people throughout New York State, not just only in Broome County. One of the other misconceptions that often we hear is that when you implement an EPR program such as this for packaging, that cost will be increasing prices for consumers. In Europe, there are several locations that do have EPR packaging in place, and there hasn't been any indications showing that the prices have been driven up because of being related directly to that EPR that has been passed. So that's another thing that people often take and have concerns about, but it's not something that's been seen. Overall, EPR for packaging is just one of the little aspects that you'll hear about in the future. We're really hoping that throughout New York State, eventually we'll get to a framework for EPR, and that'll be legislation that would be then passed that would be able to fit a whole series of different products. So you wouldn't have to keep passing local laws or adjustments to legislation for each product. So it could be something that you could easily apply to things like mattresses, to the paper products, to anything that's put out there as far as maybe even things like rigid plastics. So it has a huge potential for really impacting how we handle waste. And this is really something that's important, especially when we're looking at what we currently have with materials going into landfills and what challenges there are with some material types. So this is a kind of a step in the right direction, especially when you're looking at zero waste. You know, once you get a manufacturer responsible for what they're producing, they're going to incorporate in more recycled content. And, you know, when you look at recycling programs, they're supported by demand. So you need to make sure that products are being produced with that recycled content in there to sustain programs. So there's just a lot of benefits that go along with EPR. And I just really wanted to have a few minutes just to kind of give you a quick rundown, but I'll answer any questions that you may have.
All right, we are on a pretty tight agenda, so if you've got a question, please let us know, and if not, we'll move right to looking at the resolution that we've put together.
I've got a question.
Sure.
Deb, you and I had a little conversation about this on the side. I guess mechanically speaking, assuming we pass this here tonight, who will introduce the EPR resolution to Broome County government, to the legislature? Who will do that?
That's a good question. Probably me or Beth.
So it will come from the planning department, do you believe?
Unless there's somebody that's more apt to do that. I'm not sure who did that in the past.
Yeah,
Okay.
Jason, go ahead, Jason.
Well, I want to make sure that
I could answer that.
Hey, Chris, I'm sorry. Let Jason just finish.
I want to make sure that this has some sort of administration sponsor. That's what I'm trying to get at, is who in the administration is going to sponsor this, and will the county executive stand behind it?
Okay, go ahead, Chris.
That's a good question. And Beth did mention, not to cut you off, Chris, before you said something, but I also asked that, and she made the comment that she doesn't believe that with something like this, that the county executive will like not stand by it, but he's not gonna like post it and like I don't know. It's hard to describe. She said there hasn't been a
Yes.
time. Maybe
You're
it's
answering the
it's
question perfectly. You're answering the question perfectly. So there's no true or clear sponsor.
It was my
Yeah,
understanding.
so if I may, Jason, you could sponsor it. Ideally, ideally the.
Hang on. I'm sorry. Two of you are talking at the same time.
And I know he's telling me something, and I'll tell you what. Of course, I could sponsor it, but it'll go nowhere. Do you want this thing to pass? Get the administration on board.
So I think this is really good input, Jason. Could we do this? And Jason, you and I have had a little bit of conversation about this. I'm sorry, tripping over my words here, but you're saying something a little bit different than what we talked about. And I want to make sure I hear and understand that. Why don't we move this piece of it off the table for the moment, if we could? Let's just see if we want to pass it ourselves as the EMC. You okay with that, Jason?
Yeah,
and then let's come back to this topic and try to figure out what the right path is to go through the government. Chris,
right.
did you
speak? Yeah, if we have to make amendments, we can then do that as well. If we want to change anything about it, change our words, the way we're saying certain things. And Jason, you can help us with that too. I mean, like how things get passed and what things.
No, I don't. No, I just have to be clear. No, I don't. And nor does Chris. The thing is, we have to do everything we can to make sure it has a sponsor so that there's a clear line of responsibility as to why it doesn't go through if that's the case. That's all we know. And I can tell you for sure that if me or Susie introduce this, it will not have the same levity that it will have if it comes from the county executive or his department.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I don't have any problem personally, if we want to do it this way, going to the county executive and making a case. We can put together a good case for why we think this is a good idea. And I'm absolutely willing and eager to do that if that's what we decide is the right thing to do.
Good.
So let's do this tonight. Why don't we table this topic for right now? We've got some amendments we've got to make to the document anyway. So there's no rush for us to go vote on this now. We can vote on it by mail if we want to, correct, Jillian? And so maybe that's what we'll do. And in the meantime, let's talk a little bit more about how we push this through. Because I agree with you, Jason. This is the first time, and I know a lot of you who have been with the EMC know this is the first time we've gone forward and done something like this in a long time. And I think it's really important that we put the effort behind it to get it so that it's successful.
Right.
Yeah.
Successful.
Yeah. And Jason, I thank you for bringing that up because, I'm so new here and I don't know how everything works. And I'm coming from, just talking with Beth and her experiences with it. And she said that, the county usually doesn't say, when you bring these things or resolutions from the EMC to the legislature, they kind of just hear about it and they're like, great. And then that's kind of it. So
yeah, we do have some good numbers. Deb put together some good numbers. I haven't had time to really drill into that, Deb, but she put together some good potential savings for the county for us. So
good.
There's a financial rationale, which is always the easiest thing to sell. There's a financial rationale for doing this.
Yeah, and if we want to send it further up to the like the statewide legislature, I think there was a template of a memo that Beth had done or the EMC had done like quite some time ago, like 2007. And it basically is encouraging the legislature up there to, I think it was, I don't know what it was, some wetlands thing.
Okay.
And so it was like supporting changes to some law. And so with this, if we want to send it further, we are going to have to make that memo. And then I guess that's, where our push can come or bring it in,
okay. Well, let's try for the county first and then we'll.
No, I know.
Well, if I could jump in, if I may, there's really, in a way, there's two parallel paths, and Beth actually addressed the first one in that, as I understand it, how the resolution reads now, it is the EMC, the Broome County EMC, urging New York State, the governor, to address EPR. Then with any of those types of resolutions, it's always good if we can get the legislature to also do the same thing. But it doesn't require the legislature to pass, to sign off on it, for the EMC to basically take a stand on it. So,
that is true. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, but I totally agree with Jason. I mean, ideally, it's a twofer. The EMC does its thing, urges the state to address EPR because it's good for the county. But then we make those same arguments to both the county executive and the legislature to basically pass a companion resolution that makes the same point.
Okay.
Because this is only good for the, as Deb has very eloquently pointed out, this is what the county needs. And the producers in the past, they produce something and then they kind of wash their hands of any responsibility of their products after they produce it. What EPR does is it incentivizes them to be a partner in addressing what happens to their products after they're out there, and the county then has to deal with it.
Yeah,
at its own expense.
Yeah, so I do apologize, folks. We are going to have to move on, but Chris, I totally hear what you're saying, and I like the idea of the parallel path piece. The other thing I will just say before we move on is I think the New York State legislative schedule for this year will end in June, right? So there is some urgency around moving on this if we want to. I think the Kaminsky bill has been introduced. So
yeah, and
all that,
there's actually 3 proposals out there. So I think it's not going to be dealt with through the budget. It's going to be dealt with as a separate piece of legislation.
I agree. So, okay. So good. I think we made some good progress. Jason, thank you so much for your input.
Sure.
Chris and Deb, thank you always for being our experts on this and educating us. And I like our way forward. I think we really want to maximize our opportunity to be successful with this. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Bob, and Bob's going to talk to us a little bit about EarthFest.
Well, I'm glad Chris is here because I actually have only a limited understanding. I'll tell you, it's tough. It's been tough because when you skip 2 years and then you come back, most of the people who planned the previous EarthFest are gone from the team. And we are doing the best we can. But right now, I'm pretty concerned. I've been handling the stuff related to our campus, and everything should be fine, but I think we're going to really need help with volunteers. So if anyone can help us or get ideas for helping with volunteers for the event, that would be fantastic. We're going to be co-sponsoring with the zoo and with Roberson again, but they also have limited staff, and there's I'm working with Jessica, but there's like a limited amount of resources and human beings and that are available to really to make those things successful. So I don't personally know exactly who's RSVP'd for the event yet. Chris, I don't know. Do you have a list of folks?
I gave you access to the list, Robert, but
I haven't had a chance.
And I've been out of town, so. But I think early discussions when we were discussing whether we even go ahead with this, first of all, there was the COVID concern. I think that's pretty much, obviously it's still a concern, but it's not as anywhere near the concern as we had the last 2 years, which resulted in us canceling the EarthFest. And Robert's right. It's tough to reboot, and it's a shame because we were one of the longest running EarthFests in the country. But when we decided to kind of reboot it, we said, you know, it'll be what it'll be. It probably won't be as big as when we left off, but you got to start somewhere. We'll build from there. We have our traditional vendors, which is always great. So we really appreciate the EMC and the Division of Solid Waste and other vendors playing their part. But I think we should kind of dampen expectations that it will start off as big as it was just prior to our cancellation. But we'll have something, as Robert mentioned, the college, SUNY Broome has always been a great partner, and they're providing the space again. And so, yeah, we'll have something and we'll build from there.
I can say that we've organized, a student of mine and I, and have gotten some help, and we've organized an electric car show. So we're going to probably have at least 10 electric cars, and some individuals. A club is going to bring their cars and show them off to people. So that'll be really nice.
Well, I can bring mine.
That would be wonderful, Chris. That's yeah, I'd love to see your car. It sounds really cool. So I think that we're gonna have some nice things, and we're gonna have some nice vendors. So it might not be as big, but I think it'll be a really nice event, for sure. There's a couple of issues though that relate to the county that I wanted to talk about. One, maybe Adam can help us out with, but in the past, Nest has provided an insurance rider for the event to satisfy the county's requirements. I mean, that's college's requirements for having the outside, when you have an outside sponsored event, have the insurance be covered. But this year, it appears that the college isn't satisfied with the document that Nest sent. So I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work itself out. So one idea I had was, since this is a county facility, it would be great if, and I believe actually our insurance on campus is county insured as part of the county's policy or county's self-insurance. It would be great if the county could cover the insurance for insurance rider for the event. I don't know if that's possible or not. It seems like a pretty minor thing, since SUNY Broome's already a co-sponsor. I just know that my campus folks are very clear that they want the outside vendor to insure the event. But of course, this is a county event, a county-wide event, not sponsored by the county. But that would be one thing that would be helpful if I could find out some more information about like what the county might require, if that would be possible, or at least maybe.
So
I don't
Bob,
know.
we probably don't have time to.
Oh, I talked to Beth, and she did talk to Risk and Insurance, but they didn't get back to her. So hopefully by Monday they can get back to her and give her a little bit more information about that. So hopefully we can do that. That would be great. Since you are correct, it is a countywide thing, but I think it's just county land, and SUNY Broome is its own entity, so it's not technically a county thing. It's all, it's a whole thing. So if Beth gets back to me tomorrow or Monday, I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Send me an email. I don't want to take up any more time right now.
Absolutely.
The only other thing we wanted to talk about was how the Broome County Solid Waste will work with us on the event, and whether we wanted. I understand that we rented some bins in the past, some recycle bins from the county. So maybe.
Yeah, Bob, we just have to fill out a form, which I can do. I've done it every year. Deb has always been very supportive there, and it's just a matter of filling out a form.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've already reserved them for you, knowing that you were going to ask.
Great.
They've already been reserved, so I just need the form.
And the only other thing would just be, would the county like to do any sort of waste pickup event related to the Earth Fest, or would that be a good idea? Like electronics or some other type of thing to kind of encourage recycling, or is that?
Oh, so drop them off at the location, the Earth Fest locate?
I don't know. I think that had happened a few times in the past. I was just curious if that was or batteries, or if there was a possibility of doing something like that.
We could talk offline about that. Right
Okay.
now, though, I tell you that we don't have the staffing. And we've been working with municipalities because we offer municipalities municipal cleanup days. And then this year they each have an opportunity to hold a municipal electronics collection. But
maybe we could work with our facilities department here to coordinate with the county to do that. We could talk about it. All right.
Yeah, that would be great if that could happen.
Just to clarify really quickly, for some reason, the county is asking for a $3 million insurable. In the past, they were satisfied with 2 million, and ours doesn't go beyond 2 million, and we're not anxious to increase it for one event.
Okay, thanks, Adam. All right, so Bob, I think April 23rd?
Yes.
April 23rd, so great. Sounds like it might be a little bit smaller event, but kind of restarting the machine after 2 years off. So we're excited about it. And we plan to be there, and we plan to have a good presence. And Christine is going to talk a little bit about that and some other things that go along with it. Any questions for Bob, or Bob, anything else for us? Feel free to come back next. Well, I don't think our next meeting will be before Earth Fest. So
thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, I'll turn it over to Christine.
So in my reminder email for this meeting, I had included a link to a Google form with a survey. So if you didn't see that, you can refer back to that email. I could also put it in our chat here for reference. But that survey is for any one of us to express interest in joining one of our committees. There's a description for each committee in there. Or volunteer for an upcoming event, including Earth Fest. We'll have a table. So if you want to volunteer or join a committee, just fill out that form and we'll get your response. For the photo show this year, we don't have a leader for that committee. So if we don't get a team together and a leader, we won't be able to run it this year. Well, or any year. So we do need to get a team together soon to run it this year, and also get a team together to run it, period. So we could discuss that possibility maybe in the meeting, or just wait for survey results.
Well, Christine, I'll get in with that. So I did talk to Beth, and she stated, and I've talked to Chris, and I've talked to Larry, who sadly is not a member anymore, but he used to do so much work on the photo show, and he sent me all of the documents that he used, and he did so much work on that. He has it all laid out. It is a lot of work. And if we don't have, I'll advocate for it. If we don't have people who are willing to put in the work now, it's not going to happen this year. And I don't think, like, we'd have to talk to the Arts Council and make sure that, our location's all set, or we could turn it into something smaller, maybe social media wise. But that can be, a conversation for the committee that hopefully gets made. Yeah, please, if you're willing and wanting to do the photo show, it can be a simple thing this year, or next year we can rev it up and really make it wonderful.
And I'm willing to do everything that I was doing for it. So I'd be on the committee, and I'm, I found the judges and all that stuff. So I'm willing to do that stuff.
Awesome.
Great. So like I said, I'll put the link in the chat here in case you don't have that email for reference. There is a spot there to volunteer for Earth Fest coming up. I don't know if we'll want to do 2 teams or how we'll divide that. But if you, there's a spot at the bottom of the form to ask a question, and if you have a certain time frame, I guess you could put that there. And then our other event coming up is May 1st at the zoo. There's a compost awareness event. So that's the other event to volunteer for a table. So we need volunteers for both of those. That's all I have with the survey. Did we want to talk about any of the committees?
This is Bill Heaviside. I usually help man the table at the Earth Fest. So I can do that again this year.
Great.
Do you have a kind of a sign up sheet for that
So I
to do that?
Yeah, so hi, this is Jillian. I planned on making a sign up sheet, but making a QR code that people can just scan so that we're not wasting paper. And also people's handwriting is not legible, coming from an old volunteer coordinator, hated it. So I can also make up, once we do the survey, I can make up a volunteering thing where we can split it up into shifts. People can do a couple hours, because I don't want somebody sitting there all day long. That's not fair. They probably want to enjoy the event. So once we get the survey from Christine, I'll add everyone's names to it, and we can figure out shifts and when works for best for people. But I plan on printing brochures and doing the QR code for the sign up sheet. And then whatever other material we have, I can always just print it off at the county and bring it with me, because I planned on being there like all day.
So the survey is.
It's easy to put together a Google form to click that. Yeah.
Great.
What was that, Diane?
Nothing. Chris got to it before I did.
Oh yeah. Yep. It'll just be a simple Google form that it'll just pull up on people's phones. And if they don't want to do it on that, then, I can, I guess, bring a piece of paper if they want to use that instead. But yeah.
All right. Any questions? All right. I will just say that Christine's done a great job of laying out what each one of the teams are in the survey. There's a nice description in there. I'll just point out that there are two teams that kind of operate all year long, if you will. One of them is the Climate Smart Communities team that Adam leads. They've got a number of really interesting projects going on. They're working with some BU students on EV charging and really trying to lay out optimal places across the county for EV charging. Nada's doing a really cool thing where she's reaching out to, 100 local environmental groups and really trying to connect with them and get a small list of them that maybe become EMC members down the road, another list of them that we would just work with, and another list that we might just communicate with, but so some really good outreach to other environmental groups. The zero waste team is working on the Chris leads is the other ongoing all year round team. And that team, Josh and Deb are on it, and others probably on this call, and they've been very focused on EPR, and they've been focused on really trying to get organics out of the landfill. So some great work there. And then the other teams are really more kind of surge teams, if you will. So the Riverbank team, which I think we're going to try to take a creative approach to. We don't know what it is yet, but I think we can evolve that effort some this year. That's a riverbank cleanup where we send people out to different places along the river to clean it up. The photo show, which Dylan, thank you so much for volunteering for. We'd love to keep that going. And Jillian is willing, I can tell, but we need a team of people to work it. It's a really wonderful event. People have a strong attachment to it. Susie has many long memories of it and speaks very eloquently to the impact that it has on the community. So it's one we'd like to keep going. And then with tabling, it's just a lot of fun. It just is truly a lot of fun to get out there and talk to people about and ask them questions about how they feel about the environment and collect information from them. And Christine's got some, I think, unique and creative ideas about how we can take that even further. So I encourage you to get involved, take the survey, and With that, I'll turn it over to, I think at this point, Jackie Jurgensen, who, Nada, do you want to do a little introduction of Jackie? We're thrilled to have her here. She's going to talk a little bit to us about a project she's been working.
Sure, I'll just give a quick introduction. She'll probably want to share her screen too, so maybe while I'm doing that, if she doesn't have permission yet. A colleague and I at the libraries at Binghamton University got a grant which is funding this project, and basically it's creating a list of resources for our project was on equity and sustainability, and we had a general idea of what we wanted. We hired Jackie and she has exceeded those expectations like amazingly. So she's just here to show you what she's been working on. I believe that we're going to launch it next week. She'll share all that information, but it's a grant funded project and Jackie is amazing. And we're so happy to have her working with us, that we hired her on in the Sustainability Hub too. So thank you, Jackie, for all you do. And I'll let you talk about the project.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for the intro. Yeah, so again, hi everyone, I'm Jackie. So I'm an undergraduate student at Binghamton. And last June, I joined the project, the Equitable Sustainability Literacy Guide project as an intern. So let me try to share my screen now.
You should be able to. Yeah, there we go. Perfect.
Yeah, good. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so here is the website. So the idea for this project was really to bring awareness to a lot of different environmental injustices, other environmental issues like that, and sort of create the resource guide, make it accessible to all people. So I first started by doing a lot of research on environmental justice issues. So really talking about, like you had mentioned before, the intersectionality between environmental issues and racism and sexism and other sort of like social justice issues like that. So what I did is over the summer, I researched a lot into these different topics, and I wrote pages on these topics up here: environmental racism, indigenous rights, ecofeminism, climate migration, and food justice. So each of these pages goes into it a little bit more, sort of like defines each issue, what communities are affected by it, kind of where these issues like stem from. And it really talks about different statistics that people, different populations, like you can see here, experienced different pollution. And I've also included different case studies to show as examples, where you can sort of flip through these timelines and get a good idea of a community that's really experiencing these issues. So I like to finish off each of these pages with, I'm not sure if it's loading, but just things that we can do to sort of reduce these issues in our society, and of course linked all the sources that I've used so that people can check them out on their own. The next big section of the site would be the resources section. So here I've compiled a bunch of different books, articles, videos, all different types of media, and made it, linked it very clearly and wrote summaries to help people find what they're looking for, so they can learn about more topics that I've talked about or I haven't covered. And we've also got another intern to work on this section, and she worked on the podcast section. So she did the same thing where she went and researched a bunch of different podcasts, was able to write about them, to give you a little overview of what they cover, provide the episodes that she would recommend. So that was really awesome to work with. We also have the Get Involved section, where the idea for this was to connect people with different organizations, whether it be local or national, international, to really show people where they can donate to or volunteer with, different things like that, to sort of further their education of environmental justice with a more hands-on experience and really making a difference. another intern also worked on the debunking section. So she covered a lot of different topics, like myths and misconceptions of things like plastic recycling, wind turbines, greenwashing. And she's also done a lot of research and linked a lot of sources that you can really go off of there and learn even more about each topic. And finally, we also have our news section, which I had originally wanted to do because I wanted to give people who are experiencing these environmental injustices, give them a platform, because historically a lot of people in these positions don't have the voice, or they're not being heard. So I wanted to bring awareness to these issues that are happening and sort of interview people and give them the chance to say what they want. So far I've gotten to cover 2 different stories, one very local in Endicott and one in California. And I really hope to grow this section and reach out to more people around the world and interview them about their experiences and give them that platform. Yeah, so thank you all very much for having me today to talk about the site. It is going to be published next week. So I believe Nita said she could share the link when that does go live. And I really appreciate this and hope everyone can check it out.
So Jackie, this is great. No, so was your intended audience BU? Is your intended audience the community? Who's your
Oh
intended
yeah,
audience?
so it's really, we want to reach out to everyone. I think something that we came across too is like I have access to a lot of articles because I go to Binghamton University as a student. We have the whole library, but not everyone has that. So I really wanted to take the information that I could use and sort of put out my own, words and be able to explain that to other people. So, really anyone can read this in the community, in the country and the world. So the hope is really to reach a lot more people than just the school.
Well, I think it's wonderful. Other questions for Jackie?
This is Chris. I just want to lift up the importance of this topic, and I'm sorry I'm not in the position to see the slides. I hope it's available to us offline. But in my view, and I've been working in the sustainability space for decades, and in my view, you don't have true sustainability without equity. If you leading with the equity, a lot of people talk about the 3 E's of sustainability: equity, earth, and economy. There's other ways of phrasing that, but equity, social justice is always in there, because without it, you really don't have true sustainability. So I really appreciate the work you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much. Yeah.
Other questions or comments? All right, Jackie, thank you. Yeah.
Sorry, Diane. Sorry, I think I'm lagging a little bit. I will just say that this is incredible. I just recently graduated from BU with my master's in sustainable communities. George was my teacher, but this is just incredible. I'm just so happy that there are generations and kids like you out there doing this type of stuff, and we can be a part of that. I would also really love, once you publish this, I'll talk to Beth, who is the director of planning, to see if we can maybe post it or put it in our publications, put it on our website. This is very, very done. This is done very well. A lot of projects from college kids are good, but like this is very good. So you should be very proud of that.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Great. So Jackie, do I understand you're now working with NADA?
Yes, now I work at the Sustainability Hub in the Science Library.
Well, that's a good sign. You did a great job on this. That's
It's been fun, yes.
Congratulations. And again, congratulations. This is a really nice thing. Yeah,
Thank you so
very well
much.
done. Very well done. All right. With that, we've got a couple minutes left. Anything else that we need to talk about quickly before we close out?
Yeah, I have something, Diane, and I actually should have sent something around on email, which I will do before the weekend. I think some folks are aware that the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act scoping hearings are about to kick off. The initial list did not include Binghamton, but we are now included, and it will be on the 12th of April at 4 p.m. at the ITC. Integrated Technology Campus, so that's not the main campus, it's the one across the road on Murray Hill. I cannot emphasize enough how critical it is for people who want to see this work go forward to show up and say so. Don't worry about getting in the weeds. There are already very well funded, very well organized opponents to the CLCPA that have significant local support, and those people will be there. And there will be press work and marketing done in advance. There are already mailers that have gone out in some parts of the state. There's a couple of websites out there that are pretty well done. And I will include in the email that I will send information on how you can register to come to the event and speak. It's only 3 minutes. And I think the move is to talk about what you're most passionate about and link that to what the CLCPA proposes to do about it. There will be materials provided for that second piece. The first piece you have in your head right now. And 3 minutes is not a lot of time. So if you feel shy and you don't want to testify, that's cool too. But just want to encourage everybody to turn up. And the last word I'll say about this is that as much as, you know, I love all of you and all of our sustainability minded folks that turn up to these things time and time again. If you know somebody who's in business, if you know somebody who is not part of the usual environmentalist crowd, please invite them. You know, it really helps to hear a diversity of opinions about why this stuff matters. It's good for our economy, it's good for education, it's good for health. So people from the healthcare profession also. And I'm seeing that Eileen's saying there's a forum at BU on 4/12 at 4 p.m., which I knew nothing about. Eileen, would you care to unmute and say what that is?
Sure. I just attended a meeting just the other day, and they posted the schedule for all of the dates and locations of all of the forums. And
This is the I thought this was something else. This is actually where you go to give testimony.
Yes, I believe that's the same. Open for public comment through.
Yeah, public comment.
Yeah, that's the same thing that I announced.
Yeah, they added that.
I thought for a minute there was something else.
Yeah, they added that because they got some feedback that there weren't enough sessions, so especially in upstate New York. So Adam, did you have anything else you wanted to?
No, I'm done. Thank you.
So I hope it's okay to say this, but I do just want to offer that if you've never done a public comment, but you're interested, there are a lot of materials out there to help you prepare. You do only get 3 minutes, so you kind of want to make those 3 minutes count. I'd be happy to direct you to some of those to some of those materials if you're interested. We might even get people like Adam, who has probably done lots of public comments, to look at what you've put together if you want them to. I hope that's okay to offer, Adam. But
actually, I really appreciate you mentioning this. I cannot promise this, but it may be that we will have a virtual session in advance to help folks prepare. At minimum, what you just said will definitely happen.
Okay. Great.
I'm not certain we're going to get it together to have that previous session, but if you can respond to the email I send, if you're interested in such a thing, I will put you on the list. But the most important thing is that you respond and sign up. There is an action network, which is basically a website that helps us organize these things that I'll also include, and that will allow us to know that you're coming, because whatever you send to the folks at the state, we won't have access to, obviously.
All right. Good. Anything else before we close? If not, thank you to our speakers, Jackie, and to Bob, if he's still with us, and Deb, thanks always for your input, and Chris on the EPR. And thank you to Christine and Jillian, who work very hard on these meetings, you guys. So appreciate that. All right. Everybody have a great evening. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.